What is up, y'all? Welcome to the docket presented by Defense Diaries. I'm your host, Bob Motta, and this is my beautiful, brilliant co-host, Allison. What is up, girl? It's been a minute.
Hey, babe. Hey, all.
Hey, everybody. Thanks for hanging with us. So I've been traveling. I did a short live last night. So I went down to Othram Labs, which was super cool. And they gave us a tour. They had a bunch of speakers. Paul Holes was there. And it was a really a fascinating trip, kind of behind the curtain to see what they do down there and what they're all about. And there were a few podcasts down there. They were really kind of trying to give us the inside scoop, the straight dope on what they do, in kind of detail. And it was really cool. And as you know, yesterday I had, like I said, that short live. We got through some of the filings. Of course, the case that never sleeps is rolling. Doesn't give a shit, who's traveling, who's doing what. It's just got to roll. And I wasn't going to try to throw it on Allie to go solo with it. I think she would have freaked out on me and been like, no. And actually, she was out. She had a homie in from Colorado so they went to go see a show and probably had a nice brunch, did stuff like that. And I'm home now. Flew back today. I got about an hour's rest, and now I'm on with y'all. So thank y'all for being here. We love you guys so much. Thank you to the mods that are in here. I see y'all. Thank you to Stevie for putting, like, how fire are our thumbnails, though? It's like my concept, and then Stevie just puts into action exactly what I wanted, like exactly what I envisioned in my mind. Stevie's actually able to make it. Because I'm like, I want these are not the droids you're looking for, because that's what McClelland's motion was today. He's trying some Jedi mind shit. Like, oh, you didn't see that filing where I talked about reading all of the ex parte filings by the defense. You didn't see those. So, it's crazy. And you haven't been on in a minute, babe.
No.
So you have not, obviously, before we were going on, Allie's like, I don't know what we're going to talk about. I'm like, wow, really? There's a lot to talk about.
Well,
So,
no, only because I thought that you had talked about a lot. So I didn't know. That's why I was like being legitimate. Like I wasn't
yeah,
sure.
but you know what? It's a different vibe when you and I are able to talk. It's one thing with me talking to myself. It's
Right.
another
But then you told me we're going to talk about all of it. So I was like, okay.
Definitely. All right. So let's pop right into it. The first thing I'm going to bring up, and I did go through this, so I'm not going to go through McClelland's motion in full. I want to focus on essentially what matters most, which is this paragraph right here. This is where it starts. This is where it got really interesting. This is where everyone's head was exploding yesterday while I'm trying to travel and trying to, like enjoy this like day of respite. And there's no rest for the weary at all in this case. And I'm sitting here whining about it. I can only imagine what all the attorneys, Rosie and Baldwin and McClelland are all feeling equally under it. I mean, the concept of this thing going to trial, and with that 70-day date, babe, it looks like that falls right in mid-May. In mid-May.
Wow. Right when we're going to be grandparents.
Yeah, we'll be grandparenting. We should have a new grandbaby, new little granddaughter on the way. Should be here. We'll be just back from Jazz Fest, and then I'm heading to CrimeCon with you.
Wait, when is the trial set for?
Well, it's not set yet, but if you count the 70 days, it's mid-May.
2 months and 10 days. What are we at?
Well, you gotta do it from the date that they filed it. So I'm telling you, it's May 15th or 16th.
Okay.
I mean, and again, the only way it can be told based on defense filings, meaning that the time is stopped and the clock stops because it's on the defense's time if they file a motion that requires time for it to be litigated. Or in the event that there's a priority defendant, meaning somebody that was arrested prior to Allen, who's in custody and who has also made a speedy demand. Like that trial would take precedent over Rick Allen's. And if that has all happened, it can't happen subsequently. Like Gull can't go through her docket and start calling defense attorneys saying, hey, why don't you, why don't you file a speedy on this thing? So we can, so I don't have to have this Delphi, I mean, that can't happen. So it's got to be something that's in play already. Otherwise, this sucker's going May 15th, and I'm going to have to figure out, first of all, I'm covering that trial. The thing's not going to be televised. There will be nowhere that you should be watching any kind of Delphi streams on YouTube or anywhere else other than ours. I will be in that courtroom every day. I don't know. My wife might divorce me.
I mean, I'm just saying, like, if the baby's born and the trial's going on, I'm definitely not going to be available sometimes to be
I mean,
doing.
I'm gonna stream every day. Like I'm
Okay.
going to stream, and if you can join me, like I'm more concerned with not being with you and my kids because I'm going to be stuck in Carroll County or somewhere near Carroll County for weeks at a time. I mean,
Well, I'll be with the baby as much as our
yeah, I know.
daughter-in-law will let me.
Yeah, I know. But that's the thing. Like we haven't even talked about that. And and then CrimeCon is coming at the end of the month. So it's May 31st, like through June 2nd. So the only day that would conflict is that Friday when we have to head down to Nashville. And you're definitely going to be at CrimeCon. If
Unless
y'all
the
have
baby's not born and I need to be, I mean, we'll just have to see.
Yeah. I mean, I hope she's not that late. That would be brutal. So, but like I'll have to like I would send you to CrimeCon to man the table for just like a couple hours Friday, and then I'd have to make it down Friday night after court. It'll be a lot. It's going to be exhausting, but I'm going to be in that courtroom, so and I'm going to be able to tell you exactly what went down accurately as far as the law. And I'm going to be able to give the best recitation of what happened in the courtroom on a daily basis, along with legal analysis. It's just going to be the spot, it's going to be some pretty good coverage. I have a feeling. So I hope that you're able to be involved with it. I've got Kara on the hook. I know she wants to, she'll be there. She's going to stream with us during a lot of the trial. So I'm excited about that. And I'm sure that I'll have quite a few guests on. I'll have as many people. I'm sure that I'll be able to get Shay on. I'd love to get Michael on. He's elusive. He doesn't like going on lives.
Who's
So
Michael?
Michael is who filed the
Oh, the professor.
yeah.
Oh, little
Super bright guy, and I'd love him. I'd love for him to come on. We'll see. I'm going to work him. Like a rent.
All right, get to it. Read us what we got here, babe.
All right. So I want to start. So we're going to go through this kind of chronologically. So we had the 70-day that was filed. The next thing that was filed was this. Okay. And this was McClelland's third attempt at trying to get Richard Allen's mental health records. And, so I'm reading through it. And I knew, people were messaging me and they're like, oh my fucking God, I can't believe what's going on. This guy's reading ex parte shit. So, but this is the part that matters. And I read this last night, but you weren't on. So the defense has now filed a verified ex parte motion for hearing on funding for expert services. Within that motion, the defense asked the court to approve funding for Dr. Polly Westcott. So he goes ahead and puts their prospective, who hasn't even been hired yet, expert on blast for the world to know who she is.
So I just wanna say he's, complaining about the defense filing things that could affect a fair trial from the state's perspective or a fair trial from the defense perspective, and then he is including ex parte information about an expert, and I know you talked to everybody about this before, but the whole point of it is so that might nothing may come of it. So you don't want to be putting out there like they're consulting an expert on this issue. And then if jurors hear of it, if anyone hears of it, then they don't come to fruition at trial and there's some sort of negative inference from that. Well, the expert couldn't even help them. I mean, it seems like maybe he filed this really for the same purpose that a lot of filings have been happening, whether people complain about it on the defense side or the prosecution side, just to put the information out there in the public.
100%. I mean, it's like, but I've been saying this all along, like all the shit that McClelland and Gull for that matter accused the defense of doing. McClelland's been doing all of it from the get, from when the gag is entered. He fired, like, people don't talk about the fact that he fired the first press release out before the defense put theirs out, and it's like that somehow got ignored. The worm is turning on this though, and people are starting to realize what I've been saying for months and months and months. I mean, the way that I looked at what Gull did with respect to moving them, and I've said this theory, and I'm going to restate it. Yesterday it was like somebody said, "Oh, you say you give your theories like a lot on, you repeat them," and like that's right, I do, because I don't know if I've got
Now I'm gonna
people
do
that
it
have,
again.
and I'm going to do it again, and I'm going to continue to do it all of the time. So if you don't like when I repeat things, then maybe mute it, or don't watch.
Right, go somewhere
That's
else.
yeah, go somewhere else. I mean, maybe I'm not your jam, but in terms of, I cannot assume that everyone has seen every one of our lives, and I want it to be clear that my theory, and that's all it is. Like this isn't an inside dope type thing. My theory is that when Rosie informed both McClelland and Gull that they were ready to go to trial on January 8th, and this is just before the leak thing blew up. Okay. So like, we all saw those emails between Rosie and the judge and McClelland, and we heard about the phone call. So as soon as he said that we're ready to go to trial, that both McClelland and Gull shit their pants collectively. And there is no way other than her removing those two lawyers from the case to stop that train from entering the station on January 8th and this thing going to trial. So that's been my theory, and I have no proof of it at all at this point. We'll see what happens on the 18th of March. I have a feeling some things are going to come to light that might shock people. And so it was my feeling then. And again, it's my theory. But when I look at who benefited from the leak, it was Nick McClelland benefited from the leak. That's who benefited from the leak. And, this thing that's coming up on the 18th, and it's his dance. McClelland wanted the fight. And if he thought that Baldwin and Rosie were going to sit back and eat shit, he was sadly mistaken. He should have known. Like I've been saying it, these two dudes, man, like they've got 50 years collectively of trying cases. Like they are legitimate trial lawyers. These aren't like dudes who plead everything out. And these are guys who know what they're doing, and they're aggressive, and they have a client that they believe is innocent, and they're going to do everything in their power to make sure that he gets a fair trial. And they're doing exactly that. And, despite the fact that the Supreme Court put an opinion out stating very clearly that removing the lawyers was a mistake, that it was a violation of Rick Allen's Sixth Amendment right to counsel. And like for him to have read that particular opinion by the Supreme Court and walk away from it thinking, oh, well, if I just have a hearing putting on the record all the exact same shit that we all already know in terms of what they're accusing them of, and that it's somehow going to change somebody's mind on the Supreme Court, it's not happening. Like, even if Gull says, okay, yeah, I'm re-removing you again, another OA is going to get filed, or a writ of habeas, like it goes to the feds. There's no way they're getting these guys off this case for this shit. It's not happening. And now that we have the 70-day in effect, and that was one of the things strategically that I wanted to talk to you about. I mean, that was the one missing piece when the second original action was argued in front of the Supreme Court. They had not filed this 70-day, even though they were asking for the date. And it was framed in the sense that we're not going to give you the 70-day date because you hadn't filed it at the point that you were removed. The bigger issue was, had that been filed, I mean, we probably weren't waiting even a month for the Supreme Court to have had the hearing. They probably would have crammed it in. You know what I mean? Because they clearly knew what the issues were. So I think that the filing, because I didn't know what they would do with the 70-day once McClelland filed this thing. And this thing, I'm talking about the contempt motion that's getting heard on the 18th. Strategically, I didn't know what they would do, because this is just eating away time. And, they had to reacclimate and get all the discovery back. And that's a process. It's not just like, oh, here you go. It's like they're having to reintegrate into the case completely. And that takes time. It just does. This isn't magic. This isn't like just a little booklet. It's massive amounts of discovery. And, I didn't know if they'd be in a position in light of any new discovery that may have come in to still be ready to go to trial, So I was thrilled when I saw, for the girls, for the families, for everybody that wants this case to move forward. Well, now it's moving forward. And I am sure that Nick McClelland was not happy about it.
Well, I mean, it's evident, like, this filing is just such BS because, I guess I'll let you're gonna read more of it, or no?
Yeah, I'm just going to read this part that I think is germane to what we're talking about tonight. So again, within that motion, and he's talking about the ex parte motion that he had no business looking at. Okay, like the motion itself. So like when we file it a little differently. Allie, when you filed ex parte motions, you're typically asking for an ex parte hearing. You're not putting the pertinent information in that motion in and of itself, because you typically give the state notice that you're asking for an ex parte hearing, right? And then they'll come in and they'll say, oh no, well, we don't think that she should have an ex parte hearing. Like that little battle happens prior to whether or not the judge is going to grant you an ex parte hearing, which typically the judge denies.
At least in Illinois. I mean, the federal statute makes it clear. It completely outlines the fact that defense attorneys that are seeking funds are able to request that ex parte. So for the exact reason that the prosecution doesn't get their theories of the case, it's your planning. It's your getting your sort of case together. So you don't need to be telling the prosecution what you're looking into, what you're considering. And in Illinois, it seems they've got a similar statute in Indiana, or at least they follow the practice, which to me should be something that all the states follow. It's like, all right, the feds do it because it's what makes sense. And I've really only had one judge who actually was going to grant it. He was a new judge, and he was like, well, yeah, I mean, that makes sense. The prosecution shouldn't hear what you're what you're planning to do with this expert and why you think it's important, which is what you have to tell the judge. So let me just explain. When you go in seeking funds from the county, you have to tell the judge, this is why I want this expert. This is what I think this expert can do. And here's the evidence that bears on it. So you're giving them a lot of information that goes to your trial strategy.
Right.
There's absolutely no reason why the prosecution should be privy to that. But in Illinois, I've had, well, every judge that I've made that request in front of deny it. The judge I was just referencing, the next time the matter was up, he had a change of heart, and I think that came from another judge telling him, "No, we don't do that." But it's not something we have to often do because it only happens when we're representing a client who can afford to pay us, but can't afford to hire an expert.
Right. So, and that's, I mean, that's the heart of it. Like, that's the heart of ex parte, is that the state, or vice versa, it is not to be privy to what trial strategy is. And like you said, I mean, everything that was contained in that, and he says it here. He says that they're looking to approve funding for Dr. Polly Westcott, a clinical psychologist, and for a confession expert. So, and you and I were discussing this on the way back from the airport. You're like, well, I mean, they must be worried about the confessions to the extent that they need to hire an expert. And I'm like, well, they have to rebut, they have to put a witness on
Well,
to
read
talk
it so
about.
people know because it gets into more detail. So
Okay. So the defense states that, quote, the conclusion to be drawn from this is that there is a reasonable basis upon which to inquire into the impact of the accused's confinement of his mental state. This can only be done by an expert in the field of the impacts of solitary confinement on accused individuals. It is, and then, so that's end quote. It is clear from this statement and the other affirmations made in the motion that the defense intends to challenge the multiple confessions. No shit, Nick. That the defendant has made while incarcerated. Further, it is clear the defense intends to make the defendant's mental health an issue in this matter. In order to address this, the state needs to review the defendant's mental health records and have an opportunity to consult its own expert. So, I mean, everything that he just stated was defense theory, the theory of defense. I mean, like it's shit. And he put this out there publicly. And I've heard that other creators were doxing this woman, this expert, like all the nuts out there, that are just, so hell bent on, I like, they're the torch and pitchfork crew, all the people that have people convicted before trial.
I've got to
It's like,
turn
dude,
down
calm
my
the fuck
headphone
down.
volume for
Yeah.
this. I've
Well,
got to
that's
turn
what
down
it
my
sounds like in my head. Like these people, people that are just so convinced on somebody's guilt before a trial. It's like, like it just bugs the shit out of me. It really
All
does.
right, so are you reading more of this? Because if not, I'm gonna put us on and discuss, but if you're reading more, then we'll
So I'm
go.
going to just read the next paragraph. And it says that the state concedes the defense has not filed any kind of insanity defense or any other defense on behalf of Richard Allen, but their repeated allegations have made the defendant's health an issue. The defense has now brought Richard Allen's mental health into question again in their most recent filings when they requested funds for an expert. So that right there is a big deal.
So that's
It's
what I was gonna say. It's like he knows they haven't really made it an issue yet. Like he's saying that they haven't asserted the insanity defense, and he knows that they're just looking into an expert. It wouldn't be until they declare that give notice that this is an expert that they're going to be using where they actually make his mental health an issue. So his like vain, ridiculous argument that, well, they're considering his mental health, so I should get his mental health records. It's just like a nonsense argument. So I just don't understand why file it unless you're just trying to get the information out there. And even if he's a less experienced prosecutor, on a case like this, he's got somebody that he's contemplating, talking about the decisions on what to file and what to do with.
Yeah. No, I like, no question. I mean, but the bigger issue is the fact that this is an ex parte motion that was filed either under seal or, there was a pre-existing order early on in the case wherein Gull was very clear about ex parte motions being filed, and the state was not allowed to review them. And she said in this order that she would hold McClelland in contempt if he did it. And this was back early, like in January, February,
Well, he
so,
listed
and I'm
5
talking about
different
last year.
he listed like 4 different ex parte motions that he read. You gotta go to the next, the thing he filed today.
Right. Who? No, you're jumping
McClelland.
way nah,
Well, but it's okay.
nah, not yet. You're going out of order. Sorry, I love you, but we're not doing that yet.
Well, the point is that he's been reading all their ex parte motions.
Of course, obviously. So we know that. So the next thing that filed, which you have not read and I did not get to last night, I'm going to throw up here now. And this was filed by Brad and Andy. Okay. And this particular motion is a verified motion to extend discovery deadline. All right. And I'm going to read through it. It's short. Counsel now for Baldwin, for attorneys Baldwin and Rosie. Actually, I think this was Hennessy filed this. So counsel now for Baldwin and Rosie respectfully moves to extend the discovery deadline of March 7th, 2024. And this discovery deadline he's referring to as the discovery deadline pertaining to the motion for contempt and the hearing. Okay. Not the underlying case. Okay. So one on February 22nd, 2000, that date's wrong, obviously. On February 22nd, 2024, it should read, the court issued an order stating in pertinent part, quote, now orders counsel for the defense attorneys to provide to the state of Indiana all the exhibits intended to be introduced at the hearing on March 18th, 2024, on or before March 7th. The court did not issue a reciprocal order for the state to provide their exhibits expected to be introduced. 2, however, Mr. McClelland and undersigned have cooperated in reciprocal discovery. Undersigned has provided expected exhibits to Mr. McClelland as they have become available. The undersigned believes that Mr. McClelland has provided all expected exhibits available to him prior to March 1, 2024. Paragraph 3, on March 1, 2024, counsel conducted depositions of most of the state's identified witnesses. At that time, it was learned that Indiana State Police report provided to Mr. McClelland, then the undersigned, did not contain the attachments. Mr. McClelland pledged to obtain them and share. Paragraph 4. Also during the depositions, it was learned that Sergeant Holman had conducted recorded interviews with pertinent people. It is not yet known if those were the omitted attachments to the report. Again, Mr. McClelland assured the undersigned they would be produced. Paragraph 5. On March 5th, 2024 at 8:24 a.m., Mr. McClelland communicated to undersigned that he had the attachments and would collect the interviews and provide them through discovery that day. Then on March 6th at 9:23 p.m., Mr. McClelland advised that due to time constraints, he would be unable to provide those materials until March 7th of 2024. Upon review, paragraph 6, upon review of the state's additional discovery, the undersigned may have additional exhibits. It will be impossible to determine that until the new materials are reviewed, which, due to counsel's schedule, cannot be done before late in the afternoon of March 7th, 2024. And then paragraph 7, on February 29th, 2024 and March 1st, 2024, the defense was contacted by 2 separate individuals who claimed to have documents pertinent to the leaks. Despite diligent efforts, the defense has not yet obtained these documents to be able to assess their credibility and reliability. Upon doing so, the defense may have additional exhibits, which of course will be provided to the state as all others have been. Paragraph 8, time is certainly not of the essence because everything the state complains of happened months ago and was fully vetted. The state did not file its allegations of contemptible conduct until after the Supreme Court, the Indiana Supreme Court, reinstated attorneys Baldwin and Rosie. The issue of contempt is not an urgent matter. 9, Mr. McClelland objects to an extension. 10, undersigned requests an extension of 1 week. Wherefore, they respectfully pray the court to extend the submissions
That's hysterical. He objects to the extension when he has not yet provided. He's like, "Oh, my time constraints. I got you on March 7th."
Yeah, that sounds like it sounds like your problem, Brad, Andy. It doesn't sound like my problem. Good
It
luck.
is surprising that the judge went to the trouble of entering an order of a deadline for the defense to produce their basically responsive discovery, because it's not their motion, without requiring that the state first produce all of its exhibits to the defense.
Yeah, and of course, and granted, I was traveling, so in the chat, if somebody knows differently, I did not see an order from Gull one way or another extending it. So, we're at the 8th now, and the reality is, theoretically, she could turn around and say that anything that they haven't turned over to the state is not going to be admissible at the hearing.
The deadline was March 1st, or what was the deadline again? I'm sorry.
It was the 7th. It was yesterday.
And that's when they filed their notice of additional that you're about to get to.
Right. Exactly. So, but I mean, the fact of the matter is that she didn't enter an order on it. Like, not that I'm aware of. Not that I'm aware of. So, but and she could pull some shit with it. I mean, she could say, look, I had a deadline. You blew it. Everything that you didn't turn over subsequent to the deadline is not admissible. I could see her doing it. Absolutely. And, it's one of those things that's just kind of par for the course. All right. So now let's go to, all right. So do you want to just skip right to, yeah, we'll skip to McClelland's response today. And I went live last night, and I have no idea if Nick catches any of our content.
He says he got it from he got an email from the defense, remember?
I'm just going to tell you, I don't know if Nick watches our content. I mean, if I were Nick, I'd watch our content. I mean, I'd watch our content before I watch anyone else's content, unless I'm trying to sniff out, like, if they're going to rat me out for orchestrating the leak to get rid of the defense attorneys. That would be the only reason I'm like, oh, are these guys saying shit that's going to really fuck me over? Then I'm watching their shit, because you got Fig Solve and everything bragging about how he's got all this inside knowledge with law enforcement and all this other shit.
Well, they'll see some of that when
we'll get to, because we'll save that guy for last. All right, so I'm going to put this next one up, and this is Nick McClelland's response that dropped today. Okay, and this little guy is interesting. This was the inspiration for the thumbnail of "These are not the droids you're looking for." If you're a fan of Star Wars, you'll know what that means. That's where Obi-Wan Kenobi used the Jedi mind trick when he had R2-D2 and C-3PO, but really R2-D2 in the back of the land speeder there. And the stormtroopers were looking for the robots because, of course, R2-D2 had this valuable knowledge stored in him. So, and Obi-Wan did did a little flick of the hand, did some Jedi mind trick shit. And, told the stormtroopers, these are not the droids you're looking for. And, they said, these are not the droids we're looking for. Move along. So that's what Nick's attempting to do with this particular motion. So this is the state's motion to withdraw the motion for leave of court to subpoena third-party records filed March 6, 2024.
Right. So it's to withdraw the one he just read to you, where they're like, hey, they said they're getting an expert, and now I need his medical records.
Correct. So now comes the state of Indiana by prosecuting attorney Nicholas McClelland and respectfully asked the court to withdraw the state's motion for leave of court to subpoena third-party records filed March 6, 2024 in support of said motion. State the following. These are not the droids you're looking for. These are not the droids you're looking for. That paragraph 1, the state received the verified ex parte motion for hearing, which, just in case you guys don't know, so every motion has a caption, which states the parties, the county it's in, the case number, and then every motion has a header, a heading. And on the heading, it would say defense's ex parte motion.
Well, exactly what it says there. Verified ex parte motion for hearing on funding for expert services.
Correct.
Point being that he knows by reading the caption, I'm not supposed to be reading this document.
Correct. So 2, that the state's access to said motion was not denied in any way. 3, that the state believed it to be a document that was publicly filed. 4, that prior ex parte filings by the defense filed on December 8th, 2022, June 6th, 2023, and June 16th, 2023, all were filed publicly and were accessible by the state and anyone else involved in the case.
So that's not that's different than publicly, because otherwise it would have been accessible to every attorney in Indiana.
Well, correct. Right. Yeah. Or, we could have emailed our clerk and said, hey, can you send us that shit? And she would have sent that shit like she always does. 5, that all prior ex parte motions were filed by the defense were captioned like the current ex parte motion that was filed. I mean,
he's proving
it's just like when I read his third attempt at getting Alan's, medical records relating to his mental health, and he decides to out himself by saying that he read the ex parte motion. And then, because when I told you about it, he's like, well, did he just talk about it or did he? I'm like, I don't know. I haven't read it at this point. This is like 2 days ago. And you're like, well, did he cite it? Did he quote it? And I'm like, I don't know. I haven't read it yet. And then so when I read it, he did all of that. He cited it. He quoted it. He clearly had read it. And then he puts their expert on blast. And, so I'm just like, this dude is just not, I don't know. It's like, what is Luttrell doing? Is he not Luttrell's theoretically his experienced trial partner on the case? Is he not floating shit by this guy? Like, hey, man.
That's what I'm saying. There's no way that he's not.
Or that he is. Like, Luttrell couldn't have been like, hey, Nick, it's cool that you talked about reading that ex parte motion. Like, Luttrell would have been like, hey, Nick, you might want to take out that shit about reading the ex parte motion and definitely take out the language quoting it. And definitely take out the thing where you put in their perspective.
Right. So in essence, don't file the motion.
Don't file it and take that shit out.
The only way to his whole basis for it was the fact that they filed the ex parte motion. So,
right, but he could have made an argument like a reading through the tea leaves that they're right. That I'm guessing that they're trying to get an expert to deal with the confessions. There is no defense that they put forth. They've asked for other experts, so I know it's not those. So by, just basically, I'm going to conclude that the only thing left for them to hire would be somebody dealing with the confessions, right? He could have done something like that, where he's not outing himself, if he's so insistent on getting the medical records. So, paragraph 6, that the state did not know and had no reason to believe that this filing was private because the state and any other attorney who was on the case had access to the filing. 7, that if the defense wanted it sealed, it's the defense's fault. It's the defense's fault that he read the motion because that he wanted it sealed or wanted the state to not have access to it. It should have been filed in the appropriate manner. Now, we asked Kara if she was able to pull up these motions because she's an Indiana attorney, and she was not.
Well, that's why I'm saying that it sounded like at some point at least when I spoke to Kara, that there was 2 different levels of filing. There's the public filing that all the lawyers in Indiana can get. and then there's the one where just the parties can get. So I don't know if that was a clerk issue. You would think, if since they have this procedure that clearly happens in Indiana all the time of filing the ex parte motions, that a clerk would know how to handle it. But Kara definitely told me that um, that they were the filings were not public. But like I said, I don't know if that just means like she couldn't access it, so she knows it wasn't the normal public filing. From what
Right.
he's describing, all the lawyers, all the parties on the case were still able to access it. But, just like if something comes across the lawyer's desk that they know is confidential, like that they shouldn't be getting, I mean, they should like flip it over, throw it away, not look at it. And you said that there was an order that the judge made before about holding someone in contempt if they read ex parte like, what?
Right. Yeah. I
And
mean,
then
that
he
was
just
out.
put in, I did it in December, June,
Yeah. I
whatever.
mean, like, I don't, well, right. I don't know where his head's at. Like, I honestly don't. That's what I'm saying. Like, this is all like a whole, these are not the droids you're looking for. Forget that I said all that shit because I didn't really say it. I mean, he's hoping for some kind of miracle like that or something. I don't know.
All right, read the last paragraph.
All right. That the state was notified by the defense on March 7th, 2024, via email addressed to the judge that the filing should have been sealed and the state should not have been given access. And
You
again, that
couldn't
does not.
tell that from the title of the motion, though.
Right, but, like, he couldn't read the part where it said ex parte motion, right? You know? And then 9, knowing that it was not intended for the state to have access to said filing, the state now withdraws its motion for leave of court to subpoena third-party records filed March 6, 2024. Wherefore, now comes the state of Indiana by prosecuting attorney Nicholas McClelland and respectfully asks the court to withdraw the state's motion for leave of court to subpoena third-party records filed March 6, 2024, and for all other just and proper relief in the premises. So there you go. So there's that. So that dropped today, and that was fun. That's
I'll have to
I
say what I found most interesting is the one you're gonna do last. Like that to me is crazy.
yeah, it's something. It's something. Um, and so this is another filing by David Hennessy. It was a friend of the show who we've had on, who I adore. And it is his list. And I went through this last night, but it bears repeating because it's fascinating. This
Wait,
thing
this
just
Dave Hennessy's? Oh, because he's representing them. Got it. Sorry.
right. He's actually handling the hearing, like he's going to be
Right.
the one litigating it. Even though it should have never have made it because of Michael's motion. If Gull followed the law. But apparently she doesn't. So this particular document, let me see if this is the one. I'm going to stop sharing that one. I'm going to share this one. I'm going to blow it up, make it huge. Huge. Okay, so this is the fascinating list of additional witnesses and exhibits for contempt hearing. Comes now for attorneys Baldwin and Rosie, notifies the state and the court that in addition to all the witnesses and exhibits previously disclosed, that he may call the following witnesses and offer described exhibits. Witnesses Stephen Wood, Angela Sadlowski, Julie Melvin, Terry Williams, Courtney Parsons, and Matt Hoffman. Now, Angela and Courtney are very much pro-defense. Matt Hoffman is...
Well, explain. I mean, maybe everybody else knows, like, who they are, what they do.
Well, that's what I'm doing. I just
Oh.
did. Angela Sadlowski and Courtney Parsons are they have a YouTube channel called The Unraveling. They're staunch pro-defense, pro-constitution, pro-rights of the people. And Matt Hoffman is their investigator. They're investigating, being Baldwin and Rosie's investigator. He's a digger. He does a lot of digging. As far as Stephen Wood, Julie Melvin, Terry Williams, they are not in any way related to Courtney Parsons, Angela, or Matt Hoffman. Like they're not defense side type witnesses. So you've got a group of witnesses here that are defense side, and then you've got a group that appear to be not defense side. Now I don't know who Terry Williams is. I've never heard of her. I see that she's in the body of this motion. I didn't get a chance to go look at her content. I know Julie Melvin is. She's got a connection, a familial connection. I don't think it's by blood. I think that there was an adoption somewhere, but she's got a connection to one of the girls. I forget which girl it is. It might be somebody in the chat will probably throw it up. And Stephen Wood, I have no clue who he is either. So these,
you're assuming that they're content creators as well? Is that what you were saying?
Yeah, I know. I think that Terry is. Well, let's read through it. I think we might get a few answers in terms of some of the stuff that's in here with respect to who Stephen Wood, Julie Melvin, and if anybody in the chat knows who they are, because frankly, I just don't watch.
Is that an answer?
Is what an answer?
Cody's aunt?
Cody's aunt. Yeah, I think it's an answer.
There you go.
Okay.
Thank you, Diamond Eyes.
Thank you, Diamond Eyes. All right, so exhibits. These are the exhibits. So those are the people that they may call. Now, just because they're listed does not mean that they have to be called. But in terms of the state reading it, they then have to deal with the prospect of, oh, well, gee, they might call these folks, and what do they have to say? You know, and these are the exhibits. That there's communications between Gary Bodette, aka Fig, aka Fig Solves, and Prosecutor McClellan, multiple.
So can you tell us who this person is?
Gary Bodette he's Fig Solves. He's got a YouTube channel. He's a pro state guy. He's the guy that is constantly spouting off that he's got connections with law enforcement and McClellan and everybody else. And, you know, he's a guy who claims to have inside dope. Well, I guess we're going to find out. You know, because he's had a pretty loud voice. I've never watched any of his content because I just don't get involved with the underlying facts of the case like other people do, because we're not there yet. It's not time for that yet. And I'm not trying to solve cases when I don't know what the fuck the discovery is. And I'm not going to pretend like I know, like in order to get clicks or whatever it is, views. It's not our game. Communications from Bodette about Prosecutor McClellan. 3, Anthony Greeno's YouTube episode entitled Crime Nation, Delphi Murders, watch and review.
So that one, by the way, I started to watch because I was trying to figure out what specifically about it. I didn't get through the whole thing, but there was a portion of it where they were all saying, like, well, I saw the crime scene photos. This is what one of the children looked like in the crime scene photo. Like one of them was describing it. I'm assuming that that's, you know, playing into why that specific YouTube is listed, but there could be more.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know much about Greeno. I mean, I've had people in my DMs telling me, you know, various things about him. I like, you know, I don't know. Like, I haven't watched much of his content. I know he's talked shit about me, you know, but I don't give a fuck. You know what I mean? It's like I don't give a shit.
Language tonight, babe.
Sorry for the swearing. Like I'm funneling Jay. Like, but yeah, like I don't care. You know, I mean, it makes no difference to me. What, you know, because I'm just like, basically everybody else out there is trying the case on their YouTube channels, and it's just not what we're doing. We're talking about the law. Everything that we've been talking about for the past 3 months has been about the procedure and about what's going on now and how do we make our way to trial in light of everything that's happening. That's what we talk about. I don't try to solve the case because I don't know what the evidence is other than what we've seen in the PCA and what we saw in the memo. That's all I know. You know, it's like I can't figure out a case without knowing what the evidence is. So 4, Rick Snay on True Crime Investigates. And 5, Baldwin email to McClelland regarding Professor Turco report. 6, Bodette's communications with Angela Sadowski. And again, that's Angela's from, she's got her channel. And
So,
Bodette
but
is
do you have
Big
any
Solve.
idea what that might like, what would
I,
those
I don't know. Like I know, like I said, the unraveling is staunch defense side on this. And
Mhm.
I know that Fig Solves is staunch pro state on this, pro Alan Gilt,
Wait,
like
so is Fig
pro Alan
Saul's
Gilt.
Bodette? I'm already confused.
Odette
Is that
is
who
Fig Solves.
okay,
Yeah,
okay.
that's who it is. That's just his real name. Like unlike us, people use fake names. We use our names.
Do we?
So I think
Maybe.
so. As far as I know, I do. 7, Bodette's YouTube regarding Delphi investigation. 8, Bodette's communications regarding court staff revelations. 9, Bodette's communication regarding disqualification of defense counsel. 10, documentation of the relationship between Bodette, Fortson, and Cohen, who were two of the leakers. Fortson was the unfortunate soul who committed suicide. Cohen was one of the guys that early on was considered to be the primary leaker. I don't know. Like I wasn't getting involved with that either. In terms of who was doing what and who was the main driving force beyond Westerman. I don't know. And I didn't really care. And I still don't really care. All I know is that I cared that Westerman went in and took photographs of shit that he should never have taken photographs of. And the only thing I wanted to know is why. Why did that guy do that? I didn't care who he sent it to after the fact. I didn't care who got it. All I know is that thankfully it was stopped in its tracks. It didn't make it out so that the families had to be exposed to that shit online. And I like to think that that was done because, like people at the end of the day, before they click and send it out to the world, have morals, and would think about how that would devastate people to have to see their children in that state online, and that they thought better of it. That the humanity that exists in us as individuals took over the desire to be popular on YouTube or wherever the fuck you're trying to be popular, and that's what stopped him from doing. I didn't like, as soon as that happened, like I didn't care about any of it other than the fact that it didn't make it out to the public at large. And all I cared about was, why did Westerman do that? Like, why did he do it? And there's the theory out there that Andy Baldwin instructed him to do it in order to fortify the Norse pagan theory. Oh well, let's slip these things out there so that people understand that the Norse paganism thing is real. They'll see the crime scene, and that just didn't happen. Like no defense attorney on the planet is putting pictures of victims out pre-trial because it dooms your client. You're guaranteeing your client is going to be found guilty because those images sit out there and just enrage people for months, years leading into a trial. And all they can think is that the guy is under arrest, is the guy who did that. That like no defense attorney is doing that ever. Because on top of that, the memo in and of itself, just floating the theory out there, accomplished exactly what they wanted to accomplish, which was to get the defense's theory out there to balance the scales of justice pre-trial, which never happens, and which is total bullshit. Like I don't know why we live in a world while the state gets to puke their theories out and and the public gets to just stew on them and convict the whoever was arrested pre-trial, without I don't know how many times I have to say, can we wait till trial? We have to vet the evidence. This is just the state's theory. I say the same shit over and over. I'm a broken record with it because it doesn't seem to stick into people's skulls. It's like it's one of those things that people just don't seem to understand, that until the shit's vetted at trial, we don't know anything. And that goes for both sides. For the state's theory and for the defense's theory, all of it. Until it's vetted at trial, we don't know jack shit.
Read the rest.
I am. I like to rant occasionally.
I know, but I didn't know if we got to the.
I didn't. So 11, Bodette sending defense work product to McClelland. Bodette sending information to McClelland. And this is all exhibits that they have. This isn't just like you were reading through this. You're like, I don't get what I'm reading. I'm like,
I mean, because it gets really crazy.
It gets crazy.
Well,
It's already crazy.
right.
Right. It gets insanely crazy, like in a couple paragraphs down. 13, Bodette identifying source in Delphi investigation. 14, Bodette posting regarding sending information to McClelland. 15, this is where it starts getting crazy. Bodette posting regarding digging dirt on Baldwin. Or that was 15. 16, Bodette posting regarding working with law enforcement and prosecution. 17, Bodette, this is where it gets really, really crazy. Really crazy. Bodette email of McClelland asking Bodette to delete everything.
Wow. Like I just don't know how this McClelland's going to be able to stay. It's like so insane to me.
Well, we're going to get into that conversation. Like I want to get into the conversation because I've been saying if you watch our lives, you know that immediately after McClelland admitted again in a pleading that he had accessed Baldwin's attorney work product in a case that he was not prosecuting, that was taking place in a county that he's not the prosecutor, and then admitting it in a pleading. I was saying at that point that a motion for a special prosecutor should have been filed.
Do people know? Because like somebody made this post, like delete everything from the internet, and I'm wondering if that's what. Oh wait, not that. Maybe that is what he was saying. Like delete everything that you have posted, or if he was saying like delete all our communications. Like
I have no idea.
I mean, either way, it's
either
sus,
way.
But if it's like delete,
it's a hell of a lot more sus if it's like delete everything that we've communicated privately.
Right. So I don't.
If that's the case, well, let's keep reading through them. Okay, 18, Barb McDonald on court TV with leaked investigation information. McClelland email to defense regarding Professor Turco report. 19, leaked search warrant affidavit prior to unsealing. 20, Sergeant Holman communications with Terry Williams and or Secret Keeper. So I don't know if that's her YouTube channel. 20.
I thought it was like Deep Throat, like her code name.
Hello. This should be 21. Dave misnumbered here. 21, the YouTubers Frank Meister and Sleuth. I don't know if that's Sleuth Intuition. I'm assuming that it is. Video. YouTube, quote, The Inquisitor True Crime, claiming leaked communications from Rick Allen. 21, Terry Williams, which should be 22. Terry Williams posting about inside information of crime scene and of the investigation. 23, October 2022, or October 22nd, 2022, YouTube video of Bodette discussing his knowledge of a bullet at crime scene and knowledge that a gun was found at Rick Allen's house when that information was still under seal, and a week before it was unsealed. 24, email exchange between Gull and Rosie regarding accidentally misdirected email. 25, Baldwin email to Judge Gull, 10/9/23. 26, list of media dissemination by state actors. 27 or 26, I guess, Julie Melvin documents. And 27, the YouTube video titled A Reckoning in Carroll County. Potential exhibits on or about February 29th, 2024. So those are exhibits that they have. These are potential exhibits, which were referred to in Hennessy's other motion, asking for the extension. Right. So on or about February 29th, 2024, March 1st, 2024, the defense received an anonymous call from a woman in Texas claiming to have approximately 240 pages of leaked documents and agreed to provide them. The defense has received only a few of those documents, all of which appear to be available to the public. The defense also discovered information from the prof, claiming that he had delivered, quote, 2 pounds of documents to the Indiana Attorney General. The defense is continuing to investigate that claim, which may result in additional exhibits. All right, so pretty interesting, man. Pretty interesting. I don't know what it all means. I have a feeling on what it means. And, I mean, just like if I were to take a stab at it, I would guess that because you and I were talking about this in the car as well, and you said, "Oh, well, what are they going to try to say? Well, because they did it, we did it too." And that, no, I have a feeling the defense is going to try to put forth a case that McClelland had a hand in the defense's leaked crime scene photos. That
I mean, it
was,
does that makes more sense than what I was thinking because I was like, well, the whole two wrongs, don't make a right thing would come into play if the whole point was just to show that the state keeps doing this as well. So I think it's got to be more along the lines of what you're saying, that they're showing the state's been going out of their way to release information, to communicate with people, and that they were behind the whole thing.
yeah. Well, look, I mean, I'm going to say it again. The person who benefited from the leak was not the defense, it was Nick McClelland. Now, when you look at anything, if you're not looking at who benefits from a wrongdoing in terms of trying to figure out who may have been responsible for that wrongdoing in some way, shape, or form, I have no idea. I'm guessing here. This is a theory. I don't know. Like, I do not have inside knowledge on this. I'm just telling you that that's the way it reads. That is very much how it reads. I will not at all be surprised if the entire defense's case is turning the tables on Nick McClelland and insinuating that he in some way, shape, or form had a hand in the defense discovery leak, that was orchestrated somehow by state actors. And if that's the case, I don't even know what. I honestly don't even know what. Like I don't, if that, like that would be so egregious that I wouldn't even know how to handle it, to be honest with you. I mean, it would be so stunning.
Brain
It would like I can't even, it's hard for me to fathom. It would be so insane to me. I mean, because we're talking, you're losing your license to practice law. Like you have blown up a case, the likes of which these families may never see justice. It is so devastating to even think of that concept, that he would have gone so far as to have some kind of hand in it, or to have been privy to it, to know about it. For even if he didn't have a hand in it and he knew that somebody got to Westerman, because that's what I'm saying. I don't give a shit about the rest of these creators who got the shit and who are bragging, "Oh, I got the discovery. I got it. I didn't put it out there." Who gives a shit? Like, what do you want me to pat you on that? All I care about, and all that anybody should care about, is why Westerman did what he did. That's it. Beyond that, nothing else matters. Get to the heart of the matter, which is what made him do that. Because it can only be one of two things. It can only be the claim that I've heard that he, on his own merit, wanted to substantiate the defense's theory and decided to take him out. Well, why didn't he post it then? Why is he disseminating to other people? I mean, he had to know it would come back to him. He had to know that Andy would find out. Like that makes no sense to me. And the other scenario is that it was at the behest of a state actor saying we need to get rid of these guys. This thing is going to trial on January 8th, and we are nowhere near ready to go to trial. Like at that point in time, Nick didn't even have a trial partner. At that point in time, Nick was having to go to the county in March and beg for $5,000 to get money to get some help because he's buried under this trial and trying to prepare for it by himself. Like I've said a million times, I ain't sweating Nick on that. Like I can't imagine being in his position as a prosecutor on a case of this magnitude and having nobody to help me prepare for it would be horrifying.
I mean, that's how motions accidentally get read.
That's how motions get read. That's
Sorry.
like it's that, but I mean it's that thing where desperate times call for desperate measures. Like honestly, like do I think if Nick had a full set, if God forbid Baldwin and Rosie are able to prove in some way, shape, or form that state actors had a hand in the defense leak.
I wouldn't be surprised if she put some limitation maybe on their exhibits and presentation. I mean, I don't know.
They have a right to defend themselves.
They do,
Nick
but
picked
I
Nick
wonder if
picked
she's
this fight.
I wonder if she's gonna ask, like the whole thing about the defense having to produce their exhibits in advance or whatever. I still just find it, like, odd how she did that, put just an order directed at just the defense. I don't know, I just wonder what she's up to. If she's planning
I
on
mean,
being like, "Okay, and what's the relevance of this witness?" Like, if they're gonna voir dire the witnesses or ask for an offer of proof.
I, I mean, I don't know. I mean, these are all offers of proof. Like the offers of proof are going to be those exhibits. And just so
No, I mean,
y'all
like,
know,
offer yeah, tell them.
well, no, you tell them. Like,
When we
what were
say
you?
offer of proof, it's like if the judge was like, "Okay, what is this witness gonna testify to? Like, why is this witness relevant? Why is this exhibit relevant?" If there's gonna be any sort of that going on pre-hearing.
Well, oh, you mean in chambers? I
I
mean,
don't know, I mean, it
potentially.
could happen also
I mean,
if
it should
she's
be
if
happening out in the well of the courtroom.
yeah, and if they're not
There's no jury
publicizing it,
impaneled. Like,
right?
not publicizing it. Like,
They're not
again,
airing anything, or have they said whether they would
correct. No, she denied cameras in the courtroom. Like, this trial is not going to be streamed, which is a fucking travesty. Out of any trial that needs to be streamed, this one needs to be streamed because of everything that's been going on. This is like law school 101, 102, 103 through 150. It's like everything that's been going on procedurally in this case is unbelievable. I mean, like people wonder why I'm like just like blowing a gasket all the time. It's because I've never seen shit like this. Like, and you know who else has never seen shit like this? None of these attorneys that are trying this case, and Andy and Brad have tried for 50 years, been trying cases. They never had shit like this. And you know who's definitely never had anything like this is Nick McClelland. Like this is all shit that does not typically happen. Is it always in a case like this? Is it always heated between the defense and the state? Yes, it is. The stakes are high, the pressure's high. Everybody is leveraging whatever they can to try to get an upper hand. You'll get dirty pool that's played in cases like this. It happens. Like that's not unusual.
and
But when it gets to the level of this is a whole different thing. This
And
is
I was
like
just gonna say, like, when you and I were talking about it, you asked me, "Well, what did I think?" Like, if she, being the judge, wanted to delay things, would a change of prosecutor, affect that 70-day? When we were tossing
that,
it
that's
around,
that's where the conversation, that's what it leads us to, right? So like
and
I
that's
was
what some of
saying,
I
like
see
so
some of these
prior,
women.
so when they got reinstated, okay, and I was yelling, "Oh, file the 70-day, file the 70-day." Kara was like, "File the goddamn 70-day, file the 70-day." And but they had to bide their time. They wanted to wait till the opinion came out, I'm sure. I'm talking about Brad and Andy.
And
I'm
Karen
sure.
Bob does still feel this way as far as, strategically, but we're wondering if the judge might use this as an opportunity to I
Well, that
if
right. So yeah, so that's what I'm getting to. Like just patience, everyone. I'm gonna get there on all of it. So, but like because I'm going back in time, I'm going procedurally how it went down. So they're reinstated. They of course have to get all the discovery back. Again, this is a massive amount of discovery. If you haven't tried a case in a courtroom anywhere in this country, you can't know what it's like to get this amount of discovery and to reintegrate yourself into a case. It's not simple. It's not a simple process. Everything has to be taken back in, reprocessed, put together. They have to reread through all of it to see if they pulled anything out, if they stuck anything else in. Like with the shit that McClellan was pulling with all the the Odin shit, like putting it all over in the Discovery, on different drives, and it's here and it's there, and like they're like when they get it all back, they have to go through it all again to see if he stuck anything in places where they just have to go through every single document again, all of it. That takes time. So, like in terms of them filing the 70-day immediately, I got why they didn't do it. And then it became like an issue for me. I'm like, okay, now Nick has now filed for this motion for contempt, which is going to delay everything because they're doing what they're doing right now. None of this is dealing with the underlying case. None of it. None of this has anything to do with the underlying case, which means that when they're using their valuable time, and I'm talking about all of them, I'm talking about Nick, I'm talking about Brad, and I'm talking about Andy. They're not preparing for trial right now. What they're doing is preparing for this thing on March 18th, next Monday. That's what they're spending all their time doing. They're not working on the case, on the underlying case. So when that dropped, I'm like, oh man, I don't know if they're in a, and I said it on a live. I don't know if they're in a position to be able to file a 70-day because they have to be ready for trial.
I've got a question, not to interrupt you, but like all these exhibits that he's referencing, I'm wondering if people are aware of what some of that is, if it's stuff that's been kind of released on these other shows or posted, if anyone has said anything about that,
Well, the
in the
Unravelings
comments.
video, which has been out forever and is phenomenal, truly. Like if they play that in court, uh, it's going to open some eyes. Like I said, they're staunch pro defense on this, and they're very sour on Nick McClellan. They're very sour on Carroll County in general. They're of the mindset that that county is as corrupt as a county there is in this country. Like,
Wow.
and they're adamant about it, and they,
Well, wait, the
they
county that Nixon or the county the judge is from?
no, the county that the case Delphi's in, Carroll County, judges in Allen County. So, as far as the other crime content, the other true crime content from the other people, like I haven't watched it. I'm sure that we've got people in here. I see
Well, some
Joe.
of them's like emails from like, if this guy was posting the emails he was getting from McClelland publicly, or because it seems like he wouldn't have just turned that over to the defense if he's so pro prosecution, so how did the defense get it? That's why I thought that maybe, it's been sort of released somewhere on the interwebs.
Yeah. I mean, I think that everything that Fig did is out on the interwebs. Now, when we're talking about communications, I have no idea. I mean, would I don't know if this guy Fig would be so insane as to put communications between him and McClellan out to the public. That would be insane.
So he
I
must
mean,
have
like
shared them maybe with somebody who then shared it with the defense, or the guy
maybe,
decided, "You know what? I'm gonna give this stuff to the defense." So it's all out
maybe
there.
right. So it's like, and I've got like I see Joe Lewis Crime Nights in here, and Joe's another staunch defense guy who just like you think my rants are nothing compared to Joe's. Joe Joe goes off. It's like I try to keep it like somewhat even keeled. like Joe says a lot of the shit that I'd like to say, but I try to keep it somewhat PG. Um, Joe will just go off. And Joe has been screaming that this thing is, Joe's another Delphi stinks guy, and he's been trying to dig into this stuff, and he gets huge. He gets into wars with other creators like these other guys. Like, I'm not trying to get into wars with other creators because frankly, I don't give a shit what they say. You know what I mean? It's like I have no interest in like warring with them because I'm not going to fight about the case, the underlying case, because we don't know shit until trial. I keep saying that. So I'm not going to do it. But like I want to get back to the 70 day.
Sorry.
So when they ultimately end up filing it, and I was so excited that they filed it, but predating that, when McClellan admits that he accessed Baldwin's attorney work product relating to his trial strategies in the underlying trial, I was calling for the motion for a special prosecutor to be filed. And just so people, and I read the statute to everybody on that live. If you haven't watched it, go back and watch it. You'll figure out which one it is. And, I was reading it, and just so everybody understands, all three of them, being the defense, can file it. Nick McClellan can say, I have a conflict, which is typically what happens. Typically, when the state realizes that they have a conflict that's arisen, they're the ones to file and say, I've got, our entire office has to step out of it. We can't handle it. We have a conflict. And, then the judge appoints a special prosecutor, and special prosecutors float from county to county. They handle cases all over the state of Indiana. Here, they handle them all over the state of Illinois. They're not in any way associated with, they'll put a taint team in place just to make sure that the special prosecutors not getting information from McClellan that they shouldn't be getting, like all the things that he's been reading that he shouldn't have been reading. Like, that information can't make its way to the special prosecutor, or Judge Gull can file the motion to have a special prosecutor appointed. So now becomes a very, very interesting question, which you and I were talking about, because I said it the other night and I maintain it. If I am Nick, I'm thinking long and hard whether or not I want to stick in this case. Now, I assume that he has a massive amount of pressure from everybody involved on the law enforcement side of this, in terms of him sticking it out, depending on what he knows and what he doesn't know. If they're trying to keep it in-house, then they're telling Nick, you ain't going anywhere, sucker. You're going to try this thing and you're going to get the conviction. So that may be Nick's scenario. I have no idea. If I'm Andy and Brad, I'm in the position right now where, and then, even then, when I was calling for them to file it, and I was clear, I'm like, file it, he should go. But I'm also keeping in mind, do we really want Nick off the case? Do we want to take the chance that they're going to put an experienced prosecutor on this that has more experience than Nick does, to where we have to deal with an entirely different beast? And I'm probably of the mindset I'm sticking with Nick. Like, that's where my head's at. If you and I are, let's put ourselves in the place of Andy and Brad.
Well, I didn't know that Nick was like an inexperienced prosecutor.
I told you that. Like, I don't know, like a million
I mean,
times.
like, when
Ever, he was he's in a very small county that doesn't have murders. I mean, it's not commonplace. It's like, he doesn't deal with these types of cases, and he's a former defense guy. He was a defense attorney prior to being a prosecutor. He ran for office. He won the election, and he was placed in as sworn in as the prosecuting attorney for Carroll County. Like, he's never tried anything even remotely close to this.
Oh, he's I don't know, what are they? District attorneys, state's attorneys? I don't know what they are, but he's the state's
Elected.
attorney.
He's the elected state's attorney. Yes, he's the guy.
Oh.
He's the, like, there is no one above him. That's what I was telling. Like, I don't know if you were on the live. I'm like, He doesn't have the ability to go to that guy that's got 30 years experience in his office and say, "Hey, man, I need a hand here, bro."
Oh, I get it now. I get it now. Okay. I
Right.
I thought he was an underling the way you said he,
No,
like, didn't have the experience, and
no,
so
no.
that's why I was thinking there was someone else in his office that he would have been discussing his decisions with, but he
All
is
right.
the
So,
guy.
okay. So now that you know that, now I've refreshed your recollection as to that. Um, and pretend it's you and I. And we have this we have this information that I think is enough to get even Gull to say, I can't see a way around this. I think that you're conflicted out of the case. I think that you access things that you should never have looked at.
Right, I
And
don't wanna get a special prosecutor who's got a ton more experience, like you're saying. I mean, take your chances with the
with Nick,
right.
right? I mean, you don't, because I mean, at this point, the one thing that we know is that Brad and Andy have seen all the discovery, and we know that Nick has obviously seen all the discovery. So they know at that point, like they know what their hurdles are in this trial. I'm talking about Brad and Andy. They know what they're going to have to deal with the confessions. The confessions are confessions. It's like we haven't heard them. We have to wait to hear them to see what context they're made, what they sound like. Is he giving details that he wouldn't otherwise know unless he was the killer? I mean, we have no idea. Or is it just like I killed the girls? I committed the crime. We don't know. And we don't know how many of them there are. We don't know how many that who he said them to. He's like, I hear all kinds of shit that he's saying, like he's confessing to people in the prison that like work in the with the medical staff. Like, who knows? Like, I have no idea what's true and what's not true. But the one thing that we know is at trial they're going to be introduced and they're going to have to be dealt with. And would you rather have Nick on the other side trying to rebut what your experts are saying? Because the one thing that they're never going to prove is they're never going to get either one of the Odin patch wearing guards to come into court and admit that they were strong arming, that they were standing 6 inches away from Rick Allen, and that they had told him that they were going to rape and murder his family unless he confessed. They're not going to come into court and testify to
Sure?
that. We know
I
that. I'm
mean, you
pretty sure.
positive?
I feel pretty positive about that's not going to happen. So they're going to have to deal with it in a way that it has to be dealt with typically, which is you're not going to be able to prove that he was coerced. They're going to have to lean into like, I mean, like that's never going to happen. So, and that's damning evidence, and you're going to have to deal with this unspent casing, which you and I know is bullshit evidence. It's junk. It just is. And they're going to put an expert on to say it. And the state's going to have their guy from the Indiana State Police saying that it's good science. And at the end of the day, you're dealing with 12 lay people that are on a jury that are going to be hearing that there's an unspent casing that matches Rick Allen's gun. It's potentially very powerful evidence, no matter what the real scientific value of it is. Like, that's the reality of it. So like, do you want an experienced guy on the other side who's going to be able to do more with it? Or do you want a guy that you feel like you're going to be able to wipe the floor with? You know what I'm saying? Like, to me, I'm probably not making the move, which then brings us to the analysis. If Gull really wants to screw Baldwin and Rosie, does she file the motion to appoint a special prosecutor? And then the question becomes, how does that affect the 70-day date? She can't give, because on her motion, she's not going to be able to move that date. She would have to tell the special prosecutor, sorry, dude, you've got at this point 65 days to get ready for trial.
I mean, who knows if if that could be used as a loophole
A
that they
loophole.
had that they had to substitute. I mean, that I agreed with you in the car. That was my position. I'm like, I feel like if she puts a new prosecutor on, she has to say, you got 70 days, 68 days, or whatever the hell
Well,
it is. But
even if she
I
says
mean,
you
it
get, like, new prosecutor, you get 70 days. Still, Even
Right,
even if she says, "I'm gonna give you or we're gonna restart the clock to the new prosecution coming in," it's 70 days from now. Still,
right.
that's like nothing to prepare for a case like this. So, I mean, at the end of the day, she'd have to be thinking, all right, well, am I completely screwing the family over, the families of the girls by doing this? She'd have to think yes. So it's like there's just so many things at play right now that
So let's talk about what you think's gonna happen, like what Gull might do. Put him in jail, take him off the case, do
so I think if they it, so if she says I'm going to sentence you to 10 days. And we were talking about this in the car as well. I agree with you. I think if she says, I mean, if I'm Baldwin and Rosie, I'm asking for them to stay it. Yeah, we'll do the 10 days, but you got to stay it until after the trial. Stay just means delay it, put it off
right.
until after the trial. You
And
can't
she really
obviously.
should. There would be absolutely no reason to do it while they're all preparing
It
for
would be
trial.
insane. Like she would be guaranteeing on top of everything that she's already done. If she were to stick them in jail while there's a 70-day date going, she's guaranteeing if he's convicted that he's getting another trial. Like
Right.
beyond what she's already done, which I think it's already in stone. Like I think that the damage that she's done now has been irreparable to this case. And I think that if Rick Allen's convicted, he's going to get another trial. That's just my feeling on it. And if she were to do that, it would be beyond comprehension. I can't even see her do it. But I can't put anything past her because she just doesn't seem to give a shit. Like those things just don't seem to matter to her, which is just so bizarre to me. I don't understand it.
So do you think
Um,
there's a possibility she might still talk about taking them off the case?
how can I say no? You know what I mean? It would be insane in light of what the Supreme Court wrote in their opinion. I mean, look, there's nothing new. Like the Supreme Court is well aware of all of what her trigger points were. And nothing that Nick brought forward is any different. The only thing that changes the equation, the only thing that would change the equation is if somehow the state got evidence that Andy Baldwin directed Mitch Westerman to take those photographs out of his office and to disseminate them out to the public. That like short of that, there's nothing that's changed. There's nothing that's new. Like that would change the game. Like that would be, and then the question becomes, how does she remove Brad? I mean, like, do they have proof that Brad knew about it? Like, no way. That would like first of all, and I just want to be clear. I don't think that there's a world that exists that ever happened, but that is the only thing that I could think of that would ever allow her to remove. I think only Baldwin from the case, not Brad. Like this lumping them together in terms of
Right,
removing
but
them
you don't
both.
know if Brad would wanna do it with a different attorney or not.
I don't know. I don't know that. And he might not, but I mean, they're not. They haven't been partners
Right,
forever. You know what I mean?
right.
They're not partners in like outside of this case. And I think Brad wants to try this case. I think Brad believes that his client is innocent. I think Brad believes that he's going to go in there and stomp a mud hole in McClelland's ass. That's what I think he thinks. And I
I'm
think that he wants
shocked
to try it.
there's 861 people still up this late looking
It's
like
Friday night, dude. You
that's
want like
true.
you
It is
want to
Friday
bounce
night.
off, grandma?
Me? No.
All right. Cause
I
like
know
when you
you
see
saw
her
me
making
yawn.
those kind of comments, I can
No,
always
I think
sense you're
it
trying to.
I did forget it was actually Friday, but,
It is Friday. Hey
yeah.
man, like you like kind of probably relaxed all day. Like I like traveled. Like I'm the
I
one who
know.
should be
No,
whining about
I
getting off. I'm not
I'm
whining.
not trying to get off.
Okay. Could have fooled me.
Jeez.
All right. So but so say she does remove them. Say they don't bring up this thing. They can't prove up that Andy, because that's obviously what they were looking for. They were obviously looking to try to prove that Andy somehow orchestrated this with Westerman, that's what happened.
Right.
That it's
And
been the theory that
clearly, if they were able to prove that, we wouldn't be going to hearing. There'd be like, "All right, I'm gonna withdraw."
right.
Right,
Like
and he just
Andy would be like, "Man, I like, dude,
I'm out.
I'm not feeling this. Like, I don't, I'm good. Like, I don't want to go in there for this because this is gonna get fucking ugly, dude." And I'm like, "I'm good. Maybe I should, like, and that's not happening.
Right.
So like, it's just like,
And they've given all their evidence. At least I think I saw Dizzy say that that the state also produced additional evidence today.
yeah, if Andy, like, there's just no way in God's green earth that he's too good of a lawyer. He knows, man. That would have served zero purpose. There would have been zero purpose. The purpose that was meant to be served was served by filing the memo in and of itself. That was it. They didn't need to do anything else. That thing changed the narrative immediately. Like, if a record was playing, that was like the scratchy, like, everything stopped and the entire narrative changed, and everyone was talking about the defense's theory. That was the entire purpose of it. It had served its purpose. To think that anything else, it didn't matter if people thought it was bullshit or not. It mattered not. What mattered was that it got a defense theory out there and it got people talking about it, and it put names out there. It's super effective for what it did, and that in and of itself was enough. There is no world that exists that Andy would have thought that he needed to do anything more. And beyond that, it's a huge impeachment on his character and his integrity. And they're like, the guy's just not doing it ever in a million years. You know
Right.
what I'm saying? Like, he's not trying to blow up his career that he's spent 25 years curating by trying cases and being a hell of a trial attorney, to blow it all up by leaking some shit that's not going to do anything other than harm his client. It's nonsensical. It makes zero sense. And it didn't happen. I bet my life on it. So if she decides, let's assume that doesn't take place, that they can't get the evidence because it doesn't exist, and she removes him anyway. What, like,
I
we're
mean,
going
that
to
that
another.
that could definitely be an expedited appeal again, I think. I don't think it would have to
Sure.
go through the regular,
Right. It's
um
another OA, another original action. Kara's getting back in the game, and or I mean, at that point, do you file a writ?
I don't know enough about when you can. I know it has to be,
That's why I
like,
need
an
Osbrook on here.
extreme.
Osbrook's like the writ king of Indiana. Like, and I can't get Michael to come on. Like,
And I
he'll
didn't know
tell us.
if you could file a writ before you went through, like, in the normal course of what I'm used to, like, a writ goes like, you go to the feds after you go through the whole, like, in the normal course of an appeal, after conviction, appeal, post conviction, like, whatever. Well, I guess pre-post conviction if you're going up, but, um and it has to be like a clear right, similar to what's, in the OA, but a clear federal right that the
Yeah.
state has, like, that no one could find reasonable that the judge, is doing, and that would definitely
Well,
qualify.
I mean, to me, if she goes so far as to remove them again with nothing new, after the Supreme Court of Indiana has clearly said that that is not enough, like,
Right.
whatever you're saying did not reach the level in which you can remove Rick Allen's counsel of choice. If she just goes ahead and does it again, and I mean, in the Supreme Court should have removed her the first time. Like, they
Right.
just should have.
I'm
I
thinking
mean,
that she's gonna possibly I'm gonna go with, as my prediction, even though I don't know, you know, that maybe she gives them jail time, but like you said, definitely would be stayed.
hey, babe, this Jackie says, treat your lady like the beautiful queen she is. I think I
He
do.
does. You
I
do.
think I do. Thanks,
You're
though,
just all
Jackie.
worked up.
Thanks,
You're just
thanks, though,
all worked
Jackie.
up tonight.
Well, I'm like, dude, this is like a lot.
And I don't know if you ate before you left. Did you?
I'm not crabby. Like, I just don't like when you
I
try to
know you're
cut the
worked
show
up.
off. Like, that's all.
I
I
wasn't trying to cut the show off.
girl, I know
I was
you, like,
just
definitely.
acknowledging that the fans are dedicated because it's late at night and there's still a lot of people here.
Well, we like, you and I have not been on a live together in, like, a month, first of
I know
all,
it. It's definitely
you know?
riveting
And,
Friday
like,
night material.
I guess 830 people think it is, at least. Like, you may not think it is. I think it's pretty riveting. I love hearing you talk. Your brilliance always blows me away. So, yeah, I don't know. So what is your prediction? What do you think's gonna happen?
I mean, I think she might. uh, I mean, honestly, I still am dying to hear her like address some of the issues with the state, even though there's not emotion. Like she took shit up on her own sua sponte before when she felt the defense was out of line. Like I honestly am hoping she, takes some kind of issue, but I feel like she's probably gonna either find them or, put them in jail, but I think it would have to be stayed, and I think they'd have the opportunity to appeal anyway before the sentence would go into effect.
And how does that affect the 70 day?
That's what I'm saying. I think it would all be stayed so as to not affect. I mean, it would be ridiculous for her not to. There'd be literally no legitimate reason to do anything that wasn't safe. Like, to be perfectly honest, I feel like she probably should have put this motion up, we're gonna take this up after the trial.
Yeah.
So, I don't know. Maybe she's not. Maybe she who knows, actually, now that I'm thinking about it. It is really crazy that she is still having it. So, and especially given the motion that the professor filed
I mean,
and that
Osbrook's motion was, like, unbelievable. Like, I mean, he
I'm
couldn't have
taking it
laid
all
it
back.
out.
I have no clue what this woman's gonna do.
I have no idea.
She's
Like, when
crazy.
I read Michael's motion, I was like, "Oh my god, this is, like, so beautifully written, and it's so clear," and she like, unless she's just gonna flat out ignore the state of the law in Indiana, like, she has to do the right thing, you know? I mean, it's like she has to follow the law. He laid it out. There could have been no response that could have thwarted what he had written in that particular motion because it was facts. It was the law in its current state in Indiana. And like there was no counter argument that existed that would be able to override it, you know, and for her to give them like she just gave them the pass, the state. Nick didn't even have to try to respond because she just denied it without hearing, of course, again, or more importantly, without a written order as to why she decided to deny it, other than the fact that she had already set the hearing. I mean, her rationale is that I've already set the hearing. That doesn't matter. Whatever you said doesn't matter because I've already set the hearing. So, wait, somebody had to say I'm a talker. Yeah, I am a talker. Welcome to my YouTube channel. I'm going to talk on my YouTube channel. If I'm too much of a talker, maybe check out another channel. I can't stand when people say I'm a talker, dude.
You're in a
It's my
mood. You
YouTube
are in a mood. You are in
I'm
a
I'm
mood.
in a I'm in a great mood, but, you know, I like when I get a little pushback in the
But
like,
she
I've
may have
decided
meant
that I
it
don't
in a
have to eat
great
people's
way.
shit. Huh?
She may have meant it in a great way. You're a
Oh, she
talker
could
and
have.
she loves it.
Usually they don't. Usually
Well,
they
you
don't.
never know. She might.
Oh, good. Well, I hope so, 'cause I love to love her. So, you know, I love to
Yeah.
oh, she became a new member, so there you go. I am a talker, so thank you, Jackie. I
And
take
he
it all back.
apologizes
Do not
for
leave. I
right.
apologize for misconstruing it. Usually when people say I'm a talker, it's because they want me to shut up and they want you to talk. So, um, all right. So my prediction is I think that the world's gonna explode, and I think that they're gonna be able to show the state
That would
had
be
a hand in
amazing.
the leak, man. And like,
I honestly am predicting that she's gonna try to rein that shit in.
oh,
The
I think
way that she, like, covers for the police, like, everything's sealed, if it's saying something about the jail, saying something bad about any state actor, she wants it sealed right away, so she may, probably in chambers, like you're saying, ask for some sort of offer of proof, or, you know, ask, for them to put forth how it's relevant or how they're going to use it. I think it would be
Okay,
like
but
improper, but
but if their defense
exactly.
is that McClelland or a state actor is the one who orchestrated the leak, that's like that is their defense.
I'm just saying I could see her
How is
being
she
like
okay?
that if you don't
I mean,
have the
I'm not
if it's
disagreeing.
not
I could like,
enough,
yeah, I mean,
like, I no, this is nonsense. It doesn't establish what you're saying. I'm not even going to let you raise it. I'm not letting you make a circus out of this type of thing.
all right.
Because I feel like she's gonna be like, "What the hell is all this?" And then you've got McClelland saying for this guy to delete it. The sheer fact that he's got the contact information for that guy speaks volumes, because it's not just some guy shouting into the, oblivion of the interwebs. It's someone that he has the ability to contact and either say, "Delete your shit from the internet," or "Delete our communications," whichever it is. It's someone that he has the ability to contact. I mean,
Well,
if I just
i-
started screaming, how's he
all
how's he calling me?
all I know is that one of the people they deposed was Westerman, and
That the defense deposed? Or
yeah,
this
yeah, the guy who took the pics, and it's like um if they got him to crack, I mean, like he's really the key to the whole thing. I mean, if you can't get him to crack, like, cause like, they had to ask the question, why? Why did you do this, Mitch? Like
well,
what, like what,
clearly, why
like
else
why did you
depose
do
him?
this? And he may come with um Estrella says I seem to have a temper. Oh good, yeah. Michael, where are you? Raise your hand, dude. So,
Raise your hand.
Michael, answer that question if you'd be kind enough to do
Wait,
so.
so is this the professor, Michael?
It's yeah, he's an attorney, but
And a
he
professor, okay.
runs the habeas over at IU. So Michael,
Yes,
what
please.
what is the ability to be able to file a writ on this? Like what do we have to what has to happen? Let us know if you're in here still. Because I don't know. I don't know what the state of that is over there. So yeah, I don't know. Like you're right. I mean, I can absolutely see a world in which uh she does exactly what you're saying, that she shuts down their shit, and she does it in chambers where of course I can't hear it.
But, what you would expect the judge to do in that scenario is call him in and ask some questions, like, "What the hell is this all about? What is this communication? Is this," like, to be concerned about the possibility of whatever it is going on between the prosecutor and the content creator who is releasing information that he shouldn't have access to.
I mean, it, if there's creators out there that are pro state and that are working with law enforcement and the prosecutor's office, and they have proof that I know he's here. I know he's here, y'all. I'm waiting. He's probably so Michael, the question is, do they have the ability if, say, for instance, she
The judge were to
decides,
remove them. Do they
yeah,
have to
if she
go to
removes them again, do they
Do they
have
have
to
to go to
go
a state court or do something before they can go file
federal?
a habeas?
Yeah, that's the bottom line question. I mean, because to me, like I don't know if there's a remedy with the Indiana Supreme Court. I mean, they've already heard it. Like, I mean, maybe the fact that all the shit that she's done subsequent now can factor into where they're at mentally. And I'm talking about the court, to where they're of the mindset that she's got to go. And if she goes, I mean, that's not going to have to affect the trial date. I mean, we lost our trial judge, deep into a case, and that thing they didn't delay anything. What about Nick not filing in the right place if it's criminal. Well, that's yeah, Dr. Vonda, that was Michael Osbrook's entire that was his first point in his motion that it has to just be dismissed.
And the
Was
judge
that
dismissed his motion without a hearing.
right? She
So
just denied his motion without any kind of hearing and with no rational explanation as like under the law as to why she did it, other than the thing had already been scheduled. So that's exactly what he
and
said. You know, if
right, and
it's it had to have been filed on another case. Like if it's filed as a criminal contempt in Rick Allen's case, Rick Allen's the defendant, and it has nothing to do with Rick Allen. It would have had to have been filed under a different case number and a different criminal matter. It would have had a different. It would have been these two guys or the
and I wasn't
defendant.
on when you read his whole motion, but I think part of the point was that if it's civil, the only time you're supposed to put someone in jail is to say, until you do what I'm telling you to do, you're going to sit in jail, not as a penalty. And if it's, if it were to be criminal, then it could be, um, like a penalty. At least I think that was a part of it, right?
I think so. I think so.
You do read a lot of motions.
Yeah,
So
look,
he's saying
I'm
back to the Supreme Court probably, as opposed to habeas. That's what I thought as well.
yeah, I mean, I think that that's the course of it, and I think that they're going to have to, um, I mean, they're going to have to expedite it. Like, I mean, I think that you're right that they skipped the interlocutory again, obviously, but again, like the 70-day date, and it's not her, and if it's not the defense's motion here. Like,
Mhm.
how are they tolling the 70 days? Like that's still rolling. You know what I mean? If she's gonna do it again and basically Kara's filing the exact same OA again, because nothing has really changed. It's the exact same fact pattern. She's not gonna have to reinvent the wheel. She's gonna file the same damn thing. She's gonna get it up to him again. I mean, they're gonna have to speed it up.
I'm still highly doubting that she's
I
gonna
can't
remove them again,
she can't like
but
it would be insane.
unless, like you said, there was like something significant that came out that wasn't already known. Um, oh, so that's what Bob was just basically saying, is that it really
What's up,
shouldn't
Dan?
it really shouldn't, that it could change the 70 days, you know, I mean, who knows? But what we're saying is that it would go to the Supreme Court. They'd keep the 70 days unless the state needed more time. Um, to me, it should be the state's ability to make the request. If they need more time because of all that, then they need more time. If not, then they don't. But
Yeah, I mean, it's yeah, it's like the girls have gotten lost in this. Rick Allen's gotten lost in this. It's like it's just such a shit show that it's hard. Like and now at least we have the 70-day date like looming, like that. That is like the dark cloud that's hovering all over everybody. It changes the dynamic of everything. It really does. It changes like that was like when they filed it, the first thought in my mind was that was that was the first offensive move that they've made in a while, since the memo. Like the first thing that they've done is a proactive offensive move to try to change the course of the way things are going was to file the 70-day because it changes the dynamics of everything. It changes the dynamics of what I think that she could have done otherwise. You know what I'm saying? Like for her to file that, I think, or for them to file that, put her on an entirely different track in terms of what she felt like she may have been able to do. Had that not been filed, I think that she very well might have felt that she could have removed them again. There's not a 70-day date out there. You know what I mean? Are you listening or are you reading the comments? I can see that
yeah, I
you're
was
reading.
trying to see if there was a question specifically in like the whatever you call those super
Super chat,
comments. Yeah, as
super
opposed to, I
chat.
know we'll get to all the comments, but if there was another actual, like, I've got
Was
a
there
question.
anything? Was there anything good?
There's great comments, and I'll just thank everybody for and we'll thank you again when we start going over the comments of the super chat comments, but for saying happy birthday. And I think I saw someone else had a birthday that I was going to highlight, but then everything was moving kind of quickly. So happy birthday to that person as well. But thank you all for my birthday wishes.
Wait, Teresa said, I think that, so Teresa had just said this for the record. Teresa, I hadn't seen this. So I think the D file for speeding will stop her shenanigans and try. Exactly. Great minds think alike, girl. Ain't gonna play to right. I agree. I think that was part of the strategy, but from the defense side of it, it's easy to sit here and pontificate that was the reasoning behind it, but the reality behind that is that they have to be ready to go to trial in 70 days. It's one thing to run it as a move in order to try to put a brick on her and slow
Right.
her
Obviously, you
down.
don't do it unless you're unless
Exactly.
you've got unless you can back it up, because that'd be just
Exactly. Like
silly.
you just can't risk it. You can't say, well, we're trying to put a brick on her from like booting us again or doing some crazy shit to
I mean, I
us.
guess in theory you could, because you could always file a motion that slows it down.
Somewhat. Somewhat.
Right.
Yeah, but I think that what they know is that
Right.
from the
I
perspective
think
of both the state and the judge, that if they do start filing motions, they're going to buy time. Like I think that they feel pretty confident if they're trying to buy time and give themselves more time, that filing motions would be effective for them in terms of pushing it, kicking the can down the road a bit. So yeah, it's all crazy. It's all crazy. All right, so you think we got to everything? We're at about 2 hours. I feel pretty confident that we got through pretty much everything. Um Travis is in here saying smart shit, I'm sure. He always does. Michael was in here. Osbrook, thank you for coming.
and
Teresa
he
from
answered the
Italy.
question. That was Thank you for that.
Yeah, I'm
Well,
telling you, I keep like trying to and I don't want to like hound him about coming on, you know what I mean? It's like
sounds like
he'd
you want to
rather
hound him.
he'd rather put his students on. He's so proud of his students and the work that they do over there. He wants to always he's one of those guys that's
Well, you
not.
should happily take one of his students
I
if
would
he's,
told him I would. I'd happily put
well,
his students on.
or let's thank Jennifer J25. I like the way you thank people.
Oh, okay. Let's go through. All right. So yeah, let's go through. So whoa, Jennifer J25, member for 5 months, super OG. Thank you so much. And I'm sad to admit, Jennifer, I don't ever remember seeing you in the chat. So I'm so happy that you posted this. Thank you so much. You were absolutely an OG. Like you were original gangster. Thank you so much for your support for the last 5 months. That's amazing. And welcome. Like, don't be a lurker. Come on in. We're not gonna bite, even
The
if I
water
seem
is
to have a
fine.
temper. The water is fine. So thank you very much. Allison Browning, thank you. Welcome. 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 Aw, family hug. Oh God, you love
I
it.
mean, a lot of people like the hugs,
I
so
mean, I love giving the
I'm not
hugs.
gonna I'm
It's
not
you know
gonna
what? For me, it's genuine. I mean it. Like I'm a loving guy. You know this.
I
For
do.
criming out loud, new member. Woo woo.
For
Love you.
crying out
Family
loud.
hug.
Good name.
And then we all know
Wow.
Nav the EO.
50.
This is like Nav the EO's like just every single live, just blowing the world up, gifting 50 memberships. Nav, you're an amazing, amazing human being, and we cannot thank you enough for that support. And I'm sure that everybody that was in the chat that was bestowed your incredibly gracious gift is equally thankful. But so thank you so much for that constant support. Nav's like an always giver, and that's 50 family hugs. So thank you, Nav. That's amazing.
Oh,
Gail, welcome to the club. We
Hi,
love having you
Gail.
here. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And Gail, I know you've been in here, so I'm super happy you became a member. I know you've been. I've seen you in the chats. I see you. So thank you so much. Lily B, an always giver. Thank you so much for the 5 gifted memberships. And I'm
Thank
sure
you.
everybody that received those were equally thankful. So thank you so much for that support. Amanda, $10 holla. Thanks for knowledge from my 77-year-old mom who loves Bob. Oh, tell
Aw.
your mom, like, you go if your mom's not asleep because it is late. I want you to
Give her
go
a
and give
hug
your
from
mom a
Bob.
hug from like a real one, not like a family hug. Like, go give her and say that I love her too. Thank you so much. I think there's nothing cooler than you and your mom sitting and watching me and Allie. It's awesome. Thank you so much for that. Thank you for your generosity as well.
Docent.
Precocent, OG, Precocent's amazing. Thank you so much. 4 months, amazing. We love you. Thank you. And you're always here. You're always supporting. We appreciate you more than you know. Cammy Q, 2 times a mod. So first of all, thank you for that. Thank you for all that you do modding, because you know I love my mods. You guys are my everything. Really, I couldn't do this without the mods.
That's for
And
sure.
thank you for gifting 5 glorious memberships. Aw, 5 family hugs. Sadie O'Neill or Sadie Neal, thank you. $10 hollow super sticker. Guess you didn't have anything to
Thanks,
say. You just
Sadie.
wanted to be super generous. Thank you so much for that. Mama Libra Scales, appreciate all the time you take to break down all these documents for us flawlessly. Thank you so much for that $10 holla. I appreciate it. And I love that you guys love that. You know, that this could go horribly sideways. You know, people could have been like, oh my God, that dude's just on the live, like reading shit, and it's like, it warms my heart to know that y'all are out there loving the law, loving the Constitution, loving learning about our rights as citizens of this country. Shows me how smart y'all are. It's good to know what your rights are in this country. So thank you so much. Just Shelly B. That is, just Shelby. Shelby. I screwed it up. I'm blind. I thought that was an $10 holla. I only get my info from Defense Diaries. I'm loyal Motta Mafia. Coffee on the 18th is on me, Bob. Boom. Happy birthday,
Boom.
Al.
Thank
Thank you.
you. Thank you.
Hunt me down.
Motta Mafia. Did we
Yeah.
ever even, like,
I mean, we
finalize,
didn't
like, a
land
whole
on
name
anything.
thing? There
We
was
didn't
that
land on
oh, yeah,
anything.
no, there was, like, the
Oh, I could tell you that, like, our moderators came up with the Motta Raiders, which is great.
for them to
Yeah,
refer
like,
to
so our moderators are the Motta Raiders,
Raiders. That's
which
nice.
is great.
No, but
It's
there we did, like, the anchor thing, not the anchor, like a group. I don't remember what it
no, it
was.
was the Armada,
Yeah.
which I like. I like a
I like
lot.
Motta Mafia too, but
Motta Mafia
it's
is good. Like, I'm Italian. I'm sensitive to that kind of thing.
right, that's true.
All right. Thank you so much.
Oh, there
Just
it was. That's who I wanted to say happy
Oh,
birthday
Lisa.
to.
Okay, so Al, I turned 51 Monday. Happy birthday to you,
You're
Lisa
so much
Lang.
older than me. That's all I gotta
Yeah.
say.
Happy birthday, belated, and thanks for keeping Bob in line. Thank you. Yes, thank you for keeping me in line. Otherwise, my head would probably explode. I need her. I need her. She's my everything. So like, there's
Thanks,
a lot
Lisa,
of truth in
and
the comment.
happy birthday.
And I'm never mad at Allie, y'all. Like whenever I'm getting all worked up, it's not because I'm mad at Allie. I give her a little shit. We've been married a long time. She's my girl.
I give you some
I'm never
shit.
worried about. Oh, girl. So thank you so much for that, Lisa. That $5 holla. Brutally honest. I got some euros floating in here. Looking
All
good,
right,
sister.
euros.
Tiny bit of boop boop. Along with the already great skin and hair, Miss Motta equals GL. I'm
I
assuming that
did
means
put some
good
lipstick on.
looking.
He's
Winging my screen today. Not gay, just a beautician. So she's loving your look, girl. I mean, as am I. You are a stunningly beautiful woman. I tell
I
you that
was
all.
thinking about how handsome you looked earlier.
Oh, yeah, but you're really a beautiful woman. Sadie Neal, another $5 holla. Can the defense ask for sanctions against
Click
Nick?
on it.
Yep. Let's throw it up.
There you go.
If
Oh,
so,
see?
what could the sanctions be? So first of all, thank you for the $5 hollow. And I mean, yeah, they could. I mean, they
And they could, if he's doing something in violation of his ethical obligations, they could report him to the ARDC, as the judge, should be doing for any lawyer that the judge believes is acting unethically. Um, I I, I feel like sanction wise, I don't know, it would sort of
I
be to
mean, the
get removed. I
appropriate
don't know.
sanction would be what we're talking about, like, earlier, that they file the motion to get him booted off the case and have a special prosecutor appointed, but again,
I mean, if they actually show that he had some hand in it, like you said, I mean, that then they definitely are getting a different prosecutor, because
they
he's
have
like,
to. I mean,
yeah,
right.
he wouldn't be allowed to.
They
He
couldn't
couldn't even hold
possibly.
his position.
Oh, so here's Jackie when I was yelling at her for calling me a talker. And then, of course, she became a member. So thank you for that $5 holla. I apologize beyond apologizing for assuming that you were being critical of me. And
It's
Bob,
being
treat your lady
critical right
like the
there.
beautiful queen she is. Agreed. She is a beautiful queen. And I do. I do. I cherish her. She is my
Beautiful.
everything. There's no question about that. So thank you so much for that, Jackie. And welcome to the fam. Many questions. Became a
Where's her
YouTube.
hug?
Aw, family hug right there. Oh yeah, Jackie became a member? Wait, I did
Mhm.
we was that up there or was it
Yeah, you
down?
put it up there, you said it, you just
Oh,
didn't give
here.
her her hug.
Aw, family hug. Love it. Dr. Vonda K. I
You
see you,
answered.
Dr. Vonda K. I see you. I love that you're here. I see like Dr. K is always out
I
there
and
for
Dr. K, I've got the same question about, like, whatever was happening with Nick about the work product issue, like, even though the defense didn't raise it to remove him, either strategic reasons or whatever, I still find it strange that the judge hasn't commented on it, but maybe they have. We don't know if stuff's happening in chambers. I mean,
I'm guessing no, but
I'm right, I'm kinda
what
guessing
do
no.
I know? So, and doctor, I don't know if you got here late, but we had like addressed this. Like, so
Yeah, we did. We talked about it with I brought up his question because he posted, like, another thing that was like, "Hey, my other super chat was a question." So, that's what made me start kinda looking for the questions. But, so we talked about that in relation to his question, as far
yeah,
as whether it's criminal or.
and Dr. K, like if you didn't look, like go back, like because when Michael Osbrook filed his pleading on behalf of Rick Allen, that really touched upon everything that you're asking in your first question there, which was, did he file it in the wrong place? And the answer is unequivocally yes, he did. And the problem because Michael dealt with both scenarios. One, if you're coming at it from a civil contempt angle, you just don't have anything there that shows willful contempt, so it's got to be dismissed. If you're coming at it from, and because McClellan didn't state one way or another which type of contempt he was coming in under,
Well,
Michael
it's gotta
addressed
be
both.
right. So, it's gotta be
Well,
civil at this point because he didn't do that other filing that.
right. So which is exactly what Michael had stated. It's like, look, because this is Rick Allen as defendant under that case number, it was improper for him if he was going for criminal contempt to keep it under Rick Allen because the contempt isn't as to Rick Allen. So meaning that the contempt is to his attorneys, which means that he would have had to have filed it under a separate case number, under a different case number, a different criminal case number, which obviously he didn't do. So, in which case it has to be denied either way. So, but she's going to have her hearing.
Gotta
Wait, did I
thank
answer
Gail.
that? What about Nick looking at work product in the Midwestern? But like that,
I just
like I
said
don't know
that.
if you, yeah, all right. So did you
I
address
was
it? Because I
touching on that
addressed it earlier.
right, that I am still hoping the judge is gonna have some sort of words for him for that. Even though the defense didn't file, like, a separate motion, I still feel like,
Oh, I know. It's
but, like,
insane.
that's what
So
I'm saying. We don't know what's happening in chambers, but it does seem like, probably nothing.
see now. So thank you for that $10 holla, by the way, doctor. Gail, $10 holla super sticker. Appreciate you, Gail. Gail
Thanks,
became a
Gail.
member and then she gifted us money. How sweet.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. Another $10 holla. Doctor, appreciate you. Thank you so much. Jen P. Love you long time. Met for 2
Elmwood Park.
months. Saying hello from Elmwood Park, my neighbor. Shit, I grew up in Oak Park, girl. I was like for real, for real. I lived in Elmwood Park after I got out of college, so I'm very familiar with EP. And Johnny's beef is the greatest beef in the history. Like, you can't get a better Italian beef. Between Johnny's beef, Alpine subs, and then right around the corner there, Russell's barbecue. You got the trifecta of delicious Chicago food right there, Jen. So I'm very familiar with where you live. I've been there. So thank you for being a member. We appreciate you so much. Lead with love, $20 holla. All my rowdy friends come here
All
tonight.
my
You
red.
know this. This is a spot. This is a spot for the law rowdies. This is where we get loud. You know, this is where we get loud. At least I get loud. Allie remains calm at all times. She's a calming force in the house for us.
I mean,
She lets me get all riled up
oh,
and blow my stack, and she's calm, cool, and collected.
that is absolutely not true.
It's so true. So true.
Alright.
Uh, oh, 4-month member, Leonard Amber. You know I love you. Who's also a mod, one of our wonderful, wonderful mods. You're such a wonderful human being. Love everything that you do for us. Thank you so much for being supportive, Leonard Amber. We adore you so much. $5 holla from Heather Brown. Happy birthday. You're such a beauty. Yes, she is. Bless you both.
Thank you,
God bless.
Heather.
Thank you so much for that $5 holla and the blessings. We appreciate that. And then
No
my boy
birthday.
Stevie, member for 3 months. This Bob guy's a bit of a talker. Boop. So good. Stevie, I love you, man. And again, Stevie, not only Stevie and Mandy handle all of our graphics that you guys see. They're amazing. They do so much more for us. They're absolute support. Mandy stopped me from flying to Dallas instead of Houston yesterday, which saved my life. And they just do everything for us. And I'm so appreciative of both of them, and they're both amazing. And Stevie's got his channel. Make sure you're throwing Stevie's link in the chat, please, so that y'all can go check out his content. The guy's just solid gold, just a wonderful human being and incredibly talented. Oh, speaking of the devil, 5 months for our girl Mandy. It takes a village, anything for the models. We love you, Mandy,
Thanks,
so
Mandy.
much. And thank you for stopping me from flying to Dallas and having to drive 3 hours.
Oh, it was Mandy that did
It
that?
was Mandy. It
Wow.
was me. I told
Wow,
you.
yeah,
Like,
that's a new
she's like,
running joke now.
so you're
That's
flying to Dallas and driving down to
definitely
Houston? I'm like, what? I'm like, oh my God. Because I knew it was the Woodlands and I just wasn't putting it together. I was like, so Mandy, you're a savior. You know this
so
though.
I wanted to touch on this because Unsolved Crimes Uncovered asked that. I don't think that anything they're bringing up or raising as far as the YouTubers directly is implicating YouTubers in anything, doing anything wrong at all. It's just to point out the relationship between the state, specifically McClelland, it seems, um, and the YouTubers, and that information was um, being being communicated from the state to the content creators directly. And as Bob was saying, sort of to it seems like they're planning on trying to establish a connection with the overall leak, that the state was behind it.
I mean, I can't. I just can't wrap my mind around if he would have done it. It's like I keep insinuating it, and I just like if he did that, like my head would explode. I don't even know. I don't even know. Like, Teresa, if you're still in here, would like your head explode if it turned out that like Nick orchestrated this whole thing? Like, because Teresa and I are pretty, we're pretty even keeled as far as and we're very much on the same vein. I mean, both of us are like, we think the evidence as it stands now leans innocent. We don't know. We have to wait till trial, and we're both like just blown away by everything that Gull does and doesn't do. But it, like, man, if this thing goes down and they can show that he or some state actor at his behest had a hand in this defense leak, man, Oh my God. It's like I don't even know. I don't even know. I don't even know what I'll do. Like I don't even know. Oh,
I
Sonia,
mean,
it's
I
listening from
wouldn't.
Western Australia. Thanks, mate.
Wow.
Oh, Tapes to the Dark Side, my boy. Thank you so much. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And thank you for my boy. He's my homie. And Tapes from the Dark Side, a great pod. He's one of my original homies in podcasting. So you should be checking him out. I don't know if he ever comes on the YouTubes. I don't know if he does. He should. Um Bob, there's
AKA Raiders
YouTubers that
trying to get us to stay on here for as long as there's at
yeah.
least 100 people.
No, I'll come on if there's
I might start shouting.
yeah, you might like Allie would be like, all right,
That's it. Let's go.
I'm calling it.
But Bob actually
Uh
would. I think he would just keep going as long
I
as
like
there.
I'm a talker, you know. I like
Yeah,
talking to
I remember
people.
when you barked at Jackie for that.
I know I really got in Jackie's ass. I feel so bad about that. Like I was sensitive in the early days of our channel. Like people were like, why doesn't Bob let Allison talk? Why is Bob yelling at Allison all the time? I'm like, oh my God.
Dude, babe,
I'm
stop
like, I'm
yelling at me,
not.
please.
I love Allison. She's
You
my
what?
everything.
You what?
Allison, you want to talk about Jam Cruise? Jam Cruise was something.
Who asked that?
I don't know
Who
about you. I'm
wait, who
still
asked
catching
about Jam Cruise?
me. I
Or was
said, do
that
you want
you?
to talk about
Oh,
Jam Cruise? No.
it was great.
Um, it was great. It was exhausting. If y'all have never heard of Jam Cruise, it's basically like
Well,
six
you've gotta
days of music from 5 p.m. to 5 a.m. the
I mean,
entire
you've
time.
gotta be in a certain music crowd to wanna go to it's not like
Yeah. Well, if you love like Jazz Fest, if you're a Jazz Fest
you
person,
like
like you do
funk,
like,
like the
yeah,
funk?
funk, jam bands, that can
Jammy,
be
yeah,
good.
I guess, jam bands.
Michael, did I play polo in Oak Park? First Carl rolled. No, man, that was the River Forest side. Oak Park, we were the poor people. River Forest, they were the rich ones. So I grew up on the other side of the tracks. I've been Oak Parker. But I used to like sneak in and get into their pools. I'd pool hop like on Friday and Saturday night in the summer in like the rich River Forest kids' pools. Ooh, until we'd see the light turn on in the house and then we'd all be giggling and running for our lives.
Bob
Storm
uses
was
that
storm was fun.
AKA Raider. You had a username for a while. What's the motto you?
What's the matter you? Well, I mean
Mm.
that's like ripping off Bullwinkle. Like that was the name of
Oh.
What's the matter you was the university in Rocky and Bullwinkle.
Oh, that's right,
I could
okay.
not take credit for that one. Um, all right, so I think I'm going through. I should have put a brick on the comments. We had a ton of comments, and I like to try to get through them. I really do, because I love to
Another
read.
person from Australia here.
Just arrived really from like I love when y'all come from Aussie land or the UK because I know it's so well. It's early for them now. Now it's like bright and early in the morning. I think.
Mm.
Uh, so it's like good morning. Good
Uh,
morning. All right, so cool. I think we're gonna wrap it. So first of all, thank you to all of our mods that stuck with us late night Friday. I'm sure you had better shit to do than
hopefully,
listen.
when we get off of this thing, I see at least 690 likes. There's 690 people left, so I know people always forget when because you don't see that little like thingy while the comments are up. But right after you're leaving, like,
Yeah,
please,
Malo,
and
I
thank you.
know. I adore Oak Park. I still love Oak Park. I wanted to raise my kids in Oak Park. I think
No, yeah, he always
it's the
he's
best town in the country. Like
he's
I
just
am
being
who I am
facetious
of
about the
where I grew up.
comparison to River Forest.
Yeah, but like in comparison, the money in terms of River Forest and Oak Park, it definitely he had the bigger houses over there, but you had the brilliant minds over in Oak Park. Oak Park
Yeah, I
was
mean,
the truth, man. I still love it. Still love that town. All right, so cool, man. I feel pretty good about we got all the love out there to all the people that showed us love. Again, mods, thank you for everything that you do. Thank you for constantly being here. Thank you for spending your Friday night with us. And to you, everyone out there, thank you so much for hanging with us. We hope we kicked some knowledge. I hope my rants weren't offensive to you. And if they were, tough shit. I still love you. And let's go Monday. Monday next week, it's going down. So like I wish I could live tweet from in there, but I promise y'all I will take copious notes. I'm sure I'll be having lives. And remember, I am covering the James Crumbly trial with my boy Jay. We're doing dual streams. He's streaming on my channel or his channel. I'm streaming on our channel. We're
But you
covering that
guys are
trial. It's an important trial.
so
And
you
we
see
want
each other?
everybody.
You see you both on either
Yeah.
channel?
Yeah. Yeah. It's like we could both stream from our, it's a StreamYard feature where we could both stream, and like we have a ton of mutual subs for each. So I always
You could
want
have
my
them
subs that
working
are not
extra
familiar
hard.
with Jay to go and sub to him and his viewers and subs that aren't familiar with me. The hope is they'll come over here and sub to us. And we put on some good content. Jay's the court jester, and I'm the legal analyst, and we have a pretty good time doing it. And
Jay's great.
he's great, man.
Well,
He's my brother.
I
He's my
just
brother.
saw Scarlett. It's 12,
It's the
12:15.
weekend.
She's
So
just
what?
unless she was going in to go, oh my Lord, Bob. She was probably going
No,
to use
it's the weekend, and she's on spring break,
No,
aren't you? Or not yet?
it's still
Yeah. That's on the
wow.
I know you're showing what like terrible parents we are by creeping in here.
No,
At
I just told you today your life expectancy is longer if
if
you
you get
get good
sleep,
sleep.
good
Right.
sleep. It's true.
I'm gonna call with my friend. Bye bye.
Wait, are you saying that we didn't hit 500 likes yet with 800
Sing
people
happy
on?
birthday to
Do better, y'all. Do
she
better,
says you'll get 500 likes if you sing happy birthday.
man. Like
So
we should have
sing.
had 500 likes,
You have to
but
sing.
like, and so I
No,
don't forget. We're gonna
sing.
wrap it here.
No.
Please, if you haven't subbed to our channel, please, if you like the content, sub. It's free. You can do it
All
for
right, now
free.
sing
If
happy
you
birthday.
really, I'm not singing like I've sang you in
Come
happy
on.
birthday 7 times.
You
Like,
have such
no
a great
way.
voice.
No way. No way. Happy birthday. You
No,
want
not
your
that.
version? Oh, I'm not doing the Stevie Wonder version. People
Mm.
be all critical, be like, "Oh, Bob's voice
What?
cracked. Oh,
Huh.
Bob's out of tune."
What?
Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday. Happy birthday to you. I love you, baby. Happy
I
birthday.
love you. Thank
50,
you.
please. I don't believe it. Prove it. There's no way. There's no way. No one looks that good at 50. You just changed the game on 50. All right, y'all. But remember, please, if you love the content, please sub. Like Jay's got a huge lead on
Or if
us.
you just
Like,
love the way
we
Bob
were
sings
neck and
happy
neck.
birthday.
We went on Jam Cruise. Jay took like a 300 sub lead. He cracked 14,000. We're hovering around like,
What?
dude. So
What?
we need y'all to sub. Jay's got a lead. I got to catch him. This is like the Kentucky Derby of subbing. Like, and Jay's got that lead. I'm really trying to keep up.
What?
Now I got to do work. But yeah, get that algorithm going for us. Hit the likes. Let's get this thing out there. Let's get people that haven't found the content finding it, because we want them to know what's up in the case that never sleeps. All right,
All right,
y'all.
bye,
We
all.
love you. And
Have a good
remember,
weekend.
without you, I'd just be an old man.
Talking about a hell of a lot of cases.
You got that right, girl. Peace, y'all. Love you.